Let's talk about ISO 27001 and risk. After all, isn't risk one of the primary reasons for implementing the standard? Why is this so? Simply because you want to manage the risk of losing valuable information. So there are two basic steps when it comes to risk management. The first is to assess and record all the risks to the business. And the second is to decide how you are going to manage those risks, also known as risk treatment. It is not our intention here to go into too much detail on the actual process of identifying risk. One technique is to use a company workshop environment, which is useful for this purpose, but there is ample guidance available on this aspect of risk assessment. So first you identify a risk, and then you need to do two things: determine how serious it is and how likely it is to happen. For that, you can use a simple and effective system involving two factors. Firstly, assess the impact of the risk. In other words, how seriously can it affect your business if it happens? Secondly, what is the likelihood or chance of it actually happening? So you now have impact and likelihood for each of your identified risks. Next, you want to assign the perceived level of risk for each of those, and the easiest is to use a simple high, medium, or low. So you will have impact, high, medium, or low, and likelihood, high, medium, or low. This forms the basis of what is called a risk register, where you record all your identified risks. An example of this might be the risk of a cyber attack, where you could record the impact as high, and the likelihood as low, assuming all your cyber defenses are in good shape. At this point in the process, you have a risk register. You now need to decide how you are going to treat the risks you have identified. What do we mean by this? The simplest way to explain is to use the 4 T's example. When you have a risk, there are 4 things you can do with it. Treat it, meaning you devise controls that will reduce or mitigate the risk. Transfer the risk to someone else, like an insurance company. Tolerate, which means you just accept the risk and its possible consequences. And lastly, terminate it, meaning you just get rid of it by removing the cause of the risk. For example, if it is a server on your network that is at risk, you remove it from the network. Let's look at some of the documentation required by ISO 27001. First is the risk register itself. There is no set format for this document, as long as you record the risk, its impact and probability rating, how that risk is addressed, and who is the owner or responsible person. Here is a sample. You should also have a document describing just how you manage risk in your business. It should describe your approach, how you rate the severity of the risks, how you conduct risk assessments, and so on. This is so you can demonstrate that you have a consistent approach to risk management. Here, we have called this the risk framework document. This document could also describe how you treat the risks, although you can indicate this in your risk register, or have a separate document called a risk treatment plan. That's all we have time for in this session, and thank you again for watching. Goodbye for now.